Hey y'all, so today what I'm doing is a full interior detail on this 18-wheeler, and let's talk about like going up on pricing with your customers. So on this particular 18-wheeler, I think I've actually done it before, but I'm not too sure. I would have to go look back at my records or whatever. But this company, a couple of months ago, probably about 6-7 months ago, they hit me up, found me off of Google, and they asked me to come clean this truck. At that time, I charged them $185 to do the interior of the truck. Now, once I did that, I realized, okay, I was like, even though the truck wasn't bad, I realized that that's not enough. And plus, they wanted the seats to be shampooed and all that other extra stuff as well. So I was like, you know what, $185, it sounds good, but it's really not enough, even if the big truck isn't bad. And the reason being is because with these 18-wheelers, as y'all gonna see, it's a lot of area to cover. Not only that, it also gets pretty hot up here. Today is actually pretty cool. So what I did for that is I'm running 2 generators. I'm running my little 2,000 watt on this side, and I got my big one on inside the van. And that's just so I don't have wires coming from all over the place, but I have one wire coming here for light, and then also my fan that I may put up in here if I get too hot, and then the rest of the stuff is powering the equipment. But like I said, it's a lot of area to cover. There's a lot of different storage slots. Sometimes they have refrigerators and all that stuff as well. So going up on any person that has used you previously is always kind of stressful and scary, right? Because you're like, dang, this person used my service before. I really would love to, service them again. But I have going up, and this is where I feel like when you get a customer that used to charge them like really cheap before, and all of a sudden you have going up. I'll give y'all a great example. I have a customer where I started off at $75 for inside and out, and then I went up to $110 inside and out. And recently I charged them $225 or $200 flat for like for the same cleaning I was doing, except it was like a full interior detail. And at first I was scared. I was real scared to like tell them, hey, if you want this done, it's gonna be over $200 type of thing, because they had never paid that before. But because they know the quality of my work, they know that I'm reliable, they know that, hey, if I schedule with this guy, he's gonna show up. They don't care, they didn't mind. They feel like, okay, that $200 is worth that. They even told me after I was finished, they were like, so I'm gonna get you to do my wife's vehicle as well. I'm just trying to get her to, leave it one day or something, which is great. So that doesn't happen with every single customer, previous customer that you go up on. On this big rig that I did, I actually charged them $185 the first time to do the interior. And I did that because I don't do big rigs often, and I wanted to kind of fill it out a little bit. And I was like, okay, $185 that's not enough, just because of the area I gotta cover and the time spent. Even for a basic cleaning, that's not enough. So this time when they hit me up, I didn't even know it was them. They hit me up and they're like, hey, I told them $250 to $300, depending on the condition and how far I gotta travel out. Now, luckily, this was about maybe 10 miles from the house. It took me like literally 10 minutes to get there. But, and it wasn't that bad. So when I told them $250 to $300, they were like, well, you charged us $185, and we see that somebody took note that you charged $185 before, so why? And I just told them, I said, that was 6 months ago. And the conversation, that was the end of the conversation. They were like, oh, okay. And that was pretty much it. Now, that doesn't happen every single time. If you go up and a customer decides to go with somebody else, it is what it is. That's not the customer for you. A lot of people will strictly only use you because you're cheap, or you were cheaper at that time. So they're not really worried about the quality of the work, if that makes sense. But just some quick little advice about going up and how I feel about it, y'all. All right, so now that I'm pretty much finished with the shampooing of things, I did that mattress, these 2 seats and stuff. I'm gonna move on to just wiping down. I'm not gonna steam clean or anything. It really doesn't need it So I explained this in another video where I did a 18-wheeler. A lot of like this company is out of state. There's nobody to take before pictures, and there's nobody to check it afterwards. And I like for people to check it afterwards just to make sure that everything is okay, and nobody comes back 2 weeks later and say, hey, I noticed this wasn't done, can you come and clean it now, type of thing. I never had that issue because I always have them check it right after I'm finished and all that good stuff. So one thing I will say is just be careful when you take it on some of these jobs, because sometimes I feel like there's some red flags. This specific, I have certain rules when it comes to like taking on a job like this where they're out of state. So in order for me to take on the job, the deposit is more. I usually charge like a $25 deposit. When I take on a job like this, it's either $50 to $100 deposit, because I never know. Another thing is I don't take checks. Sometimes they'll say, hey, we'll send you a check, and it's like, nah, after I'm finished, I want to get paid. That's just how I operate. I don't know how some of the other detailing places do it, but for me, I'm like, nah, I'd rather use a card or pay me cash or something like that. Another thing, I had one company where there was like, the guy hit me up to go do a truck, but he wasn't the one in charge of like the payment. So it's like, hey, you gotta talk to this person and all that stuff. And what I normally tell them, I was like, I need to be direct content. I need to be in direct contact with whoever handles the finance stuff for your company. That's who the person I need to be speaking with, so I can make sure that there's no issues with the payment after I finish. Now, what this company, they pay it right then and there. They pay with a card, and it's no issue at all. Like I said, I did have one company that wanted to send a check, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna have to pass on that job. So just be careful. I'm a smaller business. I don't want to wait 2-3 weeks to get a check in the mail or whatever. I don't know. I'm just scared that the check get lost or the check isn't good, and especially since I can't like place a face on the person that's filling out the information or whatever. In case something happened, who do I contact? Who is the person and stuff like that? That's all things that I think about. But just be careful. Whenever you're doing this, they have ways of paying you besides a check or whatever, to where you don't have to wait on your money. So I'm at the top of the bunk, pretty far up, but this is one of the reasons why I don't do big trucks often. Is just because doing it by myself it ain't hard. This one is not bad. Actually about to start wrapping up in a few, to be honest with you. It's just that it's a lot to cover. That's the thing, especially when they're like super dirty.